Chapter 6 and the several chapters after it start to go into detail into the 4 P's of product, price, place, and promotion. So Chapter 6 will discuss the product side. Now when we talk about products, I mean everything from the total product offering to different product types, to branding or naming your products, to new product development, the product life cycle, and important to marketing managers, the product portfolio management. The first thing to discuss is the total product offering, and what we mean by that is the product itself serves a basic core value for the customer, and then extending outward from the core value, we get the basic product offering, and that's how you would describe it to consumers. Then you would get the augmented product, that means support and service and other sort of intangibles. And then you have the most abstract version of the product, which is the perceived product, which is a combination of everything from the consumer's image of the product's brand to the company to the value, etc. So it goes out from the more tangible in the middle to the least tangible part of the product offering in the outer rings. When we classify consumer products, we usually do so in 4 categories. Those are convenience products, shopping products, specialty products, and unsought products. When we talk about convenience products, these are bought frequently and immediately, like fast food, candies, and newspapers, and therefore people don't spend a lot of time thinking about them. They're almost a heuristic or a shortcut. Shopping products are bought less frequently and from fewer purchase locations, and so therefore we comparison shop. Specialty products are products that we want specific brand names for, and therefore we will make special purchase efforts to go and find them at their location. And then unsought products are quite interesting because these are products that are either brand new innovations or products consumers don't want to think about or don't realize they need. And so in these instances, you have to break through the clutter of getting the customer to consider your product. So for example, life insurance or even blood donation can be considered an unsought product. Now there are also business-to-business product types, such as capital goods, accessories, raw materials, components, supplies, and services. And examples of this would be products that are necessary to run a business. And those can be anything from equipment like forklift trucks, to computers, to screwdrivers or hard hats that are necessary for running the business, to flour or steel, which could be components that make up, or raw materials that make up the product that you finalize or that you manufacture, and so on. Now, as we're talking about this idea of products, so the sort of big P for products, it's important to consider the fact that customers don't really talk about products in terms of their category. They talk about products in terms of their name or their brand. And brands are more than just logos or names. It's the culmination of a user's total experience with the product. And so this could be positive, neutral, or negative encounters. And many times the customer has their own unique perception of the brand that the company may not even be aware of. But so then why do companies fight so hard to protect their brand? Well, brands are also considered useful for the company in terms of making choices easier for customers and reducing purchase risk for customers. You can think of it as a badge or some kind of visual image of consistent quality. Of course, that doesn't mean that all brands are high quality. It just means that customers recognize what the product or service or company stands for based on that brand logo. And brand equity refers to the differential effect that knowing the brand name has on customer responses to the product or its marketing. Let's explore brand equity a little more detailed. When we talk about this idea of branding, of course we mean the brand name itself, but we also mean their digital name, like their URL, any logos or symbols that represent the company, even characters that represent the firm, slogans, and even sounds. And when we talk about brand equity, this is the consumer's perception of the value of knowing one brand over another brand. And so these perception dimensions include differentiation, relevance, knowledge, and esteem. And I want to show you the way that a global organization estimates the total financial value of a brand. And notice here that I'm taking you to the 2016 ranking because I'm going to look at 2016, 2017, and 2018 over time to see those changes. Here we go. Okay. So if we look at Interbrand is an organization that evaluates the best global brands every year. So now this is the 2016 ranking, and I'm just going to put it in a smaller form here. And what you can see as you scroll through are Apple, Google, Coca-Cola, Microsoft, Toyota. Now let's go over into 2017 rankings. And notice that there's going to be a little bit of a difference here. So this is 2016 and then this is 2017. We still have Apple, we still have Google, but notice Amazon has sprung up into our list. And then 2018, notice that Amazon has now leapfrogged Microsoft into the 3rd place. Now, how do we get these valuations? And by the way, these are in millions of dollars, so that means the Apple brand, if you were to sell the Apple brand, it would be worth $214 billion. Google would be worth $155 billion. And so, and if you look at this list, it goes all the way down to the top 100, and this company talks about how they estimate value based on what it would cost to sell all of the tangible and intangible assets of this organization. And so what we see is that the overall estimate does have a lot to do with perceptual differences between brands, not simply the tangible assets of the brand or what the brand creates and sells. So advantages of a strong brand are this high brand equity, meaning differentiation and relevance and esteem, etc., increased product awareness, the ability to charge a premium price, reduced susceptibility to pricing wars, a competitive edge, strong customer relationships, higher likelihood of loyalty and repeat purchases, and then retail leverage of location and other types of promotional in-store opportunities. And then line extensions or new products have a better chance of success. And new products are important to brands because it helps a brand, a well-known brand, increase or defend market share by offering more choice within the range or by updating older products. New products help the brand appeal to different market segments or to maintain their reputation, or diversify into new markets and spread risk, improve relationships with distribution channels, or make better use of resources. And then when they introduce new products, they can be used to even out the peaks and troughs in demand. And you can see that Apple is a great example of how you can add more products at different times of year with different kinds of rollouts in a way to maintain that brand equity and superiority in terms of technology. Some types of new products that are innovative could be considered things like medical breakthroughs. Replacement products, an example might be MP3 players replaced by personal stereos, or digital music replacing, radio and vinyl. Variant products are when you come out with variations in the main product. Me Too products are where you copy a competitor. And relaunched products are oftentimes relaunched as the same product, but with a different marketing strategy. And new product development goes from ideas to concept development to piloting and market planning to test marketing and to launch. And as we move up this triangle, we have fewer and fewer ideas get into the next stage. And costs increase, though. Let's talk about developing new products for just a few minutes. Now, firms develop new products by going through what we call the new product development process. Idea generation starts at the bottom of that triangle. And ideas can come from anything, from internal ideas to your customers, to your competitors, to research or trends, SWOT analyses, things like that. From there, we go to a phase called concept testing. And this is where you test the new product idea among a set of potential customers. Usually this idea is either in written form, and you ask people, how likely are you to buy this? So, of course, many times customers say that they are interested in buying a product in this concept testing phase that may ultimately not be purchased by them during commercialization. But based on concept testing with your target markets, then you move on to actually producing the product for prototype or alpha and beta testing. From product development, you go to test marketing or market testing, which is where you actually test the product in a few markets. So in other words, if you have a manufactured product, you will put it on the shelf at a retail location amongst its competitors to see whether or not people will actually choose the product. If it's a service, you make the service available with real live customers to see if they will purchase your product or service at that price point, or you test out your marketing campaign, or you test out the packaging, or you test out product variations, and so on. From there, you choose to launch the full-scale commercialization of the product. And then, of course, evaluating the results, making appropriate modifications to the 4 Ps, and so on. Let's talk about test marketing a little bit more. First, I guess I was going to idea generation. Oh, I think I mentioned this out loud already. All right. Yeah, lots of different ways to get ideas. Okay. Then concept testing. As I said, concept testing is a written description of the product. This is sometimes confused with test marketing. So the concept testing is really just the idea, and customers react and determine whether or not it goes forward. Oops. It often triggers the, I don't know why that didn't come up. Let's try again. Triggers the marketing research process. Okay, now here we are, and something's gone through concept testing, then it's gone through product development, and you start researching whether or not your target market will actually purchase your product. And then, as you go, you're filtering out bad ideas and adopting new or better, the best ideas. And now here we are in the test marketing phase, or the market testing phase. And here you actually initiate the product and its proposed marketing program into realistic market settings. So you want to put your product into a test market that reflects your target market demographics and characteristics. So if you were trying to test out a product that was going to be available eventually nationwide, let's say it was a grocery store product, then you would want to test it in places, cities, that are most representative of the entire United States demographic characteristics. So I've put a couple of links here. Let's go to this first one, smallbusiness.com. Best U.S. cities to test market a national product. So again, this is assuming that you are testing a national product. So you want to find the places where are most likely to reflect the entirety of the U.S. population. So this talks about all of that information, and then what makes a good test market location. And this will take us to the Wallet Hub study, introducing the top microcosm cities that closely match the country's demographics as a whole. So let's look at this entire list. And what you see here is what we're looking for in terms of an index is the closer something is to 100, the closer it is to the average. And so what we see here are resemblance indices for different cities based on how similar they are to the United States as a whole. And I will say this other link here was from a previous, this was 2016 data, and so you see Nashville was first, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Charleston, and Jacksonville. And then as we go into the main findings on the website here, we see that it's slightly different. So Indianapolis, Indiana, Cincinnati, Oklahoma, Ohio, and so on. And then, so a lot of times when I ask students where they would recommend you testing out a potential new product, a lot of them say things like New York City. And what we know is that New York City is clearly not very representative. In fact, we can go to a map here and highlight particular cities for their number. And let's see, maybe this might be the closest to us. And the closer the number is to 100, the more representative it is of the entire United States. So Honolulu is not very representative of the United States as a whole. But then you get into, let's see, you get into more of, these are all the Illinois. Let's see where we are in. And so the closer you are to 100, the more similar you are to the country as a whole. And then finally, I believe I had another, oops, it's our brands. And then this is another example of Nashville, Ohio, Indianapolis, South Carolina, Jacksonville, Florida, and so on. Finally, there's a 538 article that's kind of interesting here of what actually is the average, what does the average town looks like. And what they found here is this is again, an index equals 100 if it is identical to that of the US overall. And I believe this is the most recent link. And so New Haven, Connecticut, followed by Tampa, Florida, and Hartford, Connecticut. And so these are most likely to the US overall. Curious to see where you live relative to this. So, it could be interesting. And so by test marketing, the marketer gets an experience with marketing the product before the commercialization. It allows you to tweak the product and or the marketing program, the pricing, the promotion, the distribution. And of course, this means that costs can be high and time consuming. So a lot of times companies want to just get right into commercialization, but the test marketing really allows them to really observe what customers want in their product. Okay, now we're going to switch to the product lifecycle itself. And when you see this illustration of the product lifecycle, there are a few things that I want to talk about. First of all, imagine that this is at the product category level, not at a specific brand level. So if you think about Coca-Cola, carbonated cola drinks, that would be the product category. And Coca-Cola, Pepsi, etc. would be the brands within this product lifecycle category. And so those would be in the maturity stage of the life cycle, although some might say that sodas are on the decline. But most of the grocery products that we buy on a daily or weekly basis are actually maturity products. So we're going to talk about each of these phases. I'm going to do that in a second video. So this will be the first one, and then I'm going to start the second recording from here. Be right back.